Entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Bold.
They are under no illusion.
Ray.
Are you a human trafficker?
Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get this on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What I'm going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes and Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good evening. The top stories from the GB Newsroom. The King has given his Christmas message calling for spiritual unity after meeting the Pope. His Majesty used his Christmas message to urge the nation to never lose sight in a divisive world of the Second World War values of courage and sacrifice and community spirit.
Indeed, as our world seems to spin ever faster, our journeying may pause to quieten our minds. In T.S. Eliot's words, at the still point of the turning world, and allow ourselves to renew. In this, with the great diversity of our communities, we can find the strength to ensure that right triumphs over wrong. It seems to me that we need to cherish the values of compassion and reconciliation, the way our Lord lived and died.
King Charles and Queen Camilla have attended a Christmas Day church service at Sandringham with the Prince and Princess of Wales and other royals by their side. After the service in St Mary Magdalene Church in Norfolk, the King, Queen and Prince William, his wife Catherine and their 3 children greeted and interacted with excited crowds who gathered and waited outside on the crisp Christmas morning. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, formerly Prince Andrew, wasn't present, but his daughters Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie were there, along with their husbands. The service inside the church was relayed by speakers to the crowd outside who waited for the opportunity to chat to the royals afterwards. Donald Trump told children he would not let a bad Santa infiltrate the US as he took part in a long-standing Christmas tradition. Sat by a Christmas tree at his Mar-a-Lago residence in Florida, the President and First Lady took calls from youngsters who dialed into the North American Aerospace Defense Command, which tracks Santa's sleigh around the globe every Christmas Eve. To an 8-year-old girl in Kansas who said they didn't want a coal as a gift, the President said this.
5 hours from now, Santa will be coming down your chimney and have a beautiful present for you. What would you like Santa to bring?
Not coal.
Not coal. No, you don't want coal. Well, coal is, you mean clean, beautiful coal. I had to do that, I'm sorry. No, coal is clean and beautiful. Please remember that.
The Pope lamented the conditions for Palestinians in Gaza in his Christmas sermon in an unusually direct appeal during what is normally a solemn spiritual service on the day Christians across the globe celebrate the birth of Jesus. Pope Leo, the first US Pope, said the story of Jesus being born in a stable showed that God had pitched his fragile tent among the people of the world. Celebrating his first Christmas after being elected in May by the world's cardinals to succeed the late Pope Francis, he usually refrains from making political references in his sermons. But the new Pope has spoken about Gaza several times recently and told journalists last month that the only solution in the decades-long conflict between Israel and the Palestinian people must include a Palestinian state. And emergency services are searching for 2 men off a beach in Devon. They're believed to be missing in the water in Budleigh-Salterton. Devon and Cornwall police were called at 10:25 a.m. on Christmas Day following concerns for people in the water. The force said a number of people had been safely recovered to shore and were taken to hospital as a precaution. Swimmers were urgently asked not to take part in Exmouth's Christmas Day swim while the incident was dealt with. And those are the latest GB News headlines for now.
For all the latest from GB News whilst you're on the go, get the GB News app. Scan the QR code now to download or visit gbnews.com/app.
Well, hello there. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to you, and welcome to this very, very special edition of Jubes and Co. Tonight, I do not have my usual panel, but instead a festive treat for you, because take a look at this. I am joined by not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 of GBNews' finest reporters, your favourites. Our political editor, Christopher Herp, alongside him, the Home and Security editor, Mark White. Also, we've got the pleasure of our royal correspondence company, Cameron Walker, and our favourite national reporter, Charlie Peters. Gents, what a festive treat for the nation.
It's incredible.
I am going to try and contain my excitement over the next hour, ladies and gents. I can't promise I'll achieve it, but we'll try together, because what a treat for you. We are going to be looking back over the years that has almost now finished, some of the highs and the lows of 2025. But you know the drill on Jubes and Co. It's not just about us, it's about you at home as well. And of course, you will remember that I was asking you to share with me your Christmas trees. It's my favourite part of the programme. Let me have a little nosy at a few of them. Now, look at this one. This is Helen. She's in Cambridgeshire. She's decorated hair tree with GB News baubles. Get in there. I like that. Also, look at this one. Phil and Julia. They're having a white Christmas. I like that. They are in Southend-on-Sea. Thank you so much for sharing all of these with me. It's a huge privilege to be taken inside your living rooms, I could tell you. Look, without further ado then, let's get stuck straight in. It's been a massive year politically in 2025. Let's cut over then to our political editor, Christopher Herp. Chris, tell us, what are the stories that have caught your eyes?
One word has dominated the year, Michelle. That word is Farage. From the very beginning, he has dominated and moved the entire market like an underwater submarine moving ships around on the surface. Back in, May this year, while I was summoned for a press conference in St Helens with the Prime Minister, and he's talked about Nigel Farage, and I said to him, is this guy living rent-free in your brain? And then fast forward to September, I interviewed the Prime Minister again, and he called these small boat crossings, he called them Farage boats. Let's remind ourselves what he said.
I would gently point out to Nigel Farage and others that before we left the EU, we had a returns agreement with every country in the EU, and he told the country make no difference if we left. Well, he was wrong about that. These are Farage boats in many senses that are coming across the channel.
And legal net migration, that will come down to under your government.
Yes, if you look at, well, we got the Boris wave, didn't we? Yeah. Immigration went up 4-fold under the Conservatives in 5 short years. It's unbelievable. And we are bringing it down. You've seen those numbers coming down. Of course, it's right to say that many people come here to contribute to our society, but the numbers need to come down, and we're bringing them down.
The PM now using the word Farage boats. He does that. He's trying to ally 2 things. The Brexit campaign, Michelle, that Labour think has gone wrong, with Farage. They think the fact there's no cooperation with our allies on the continent means that we have got this collapse in trying to get these small boat migrants back. And just earlier from that party conference, we heard Ed Davey mention Nigel Farage 30 times in his speech, and they gave out little characters of Farage and Trump. So really, the Farage has dominated and will dominate again next year, really, because of Labour's failure.
The Farage boats, though, didn't stick, did it?
No. They tried to make it.
He's completely dominated the conversation. Nigel Farage Farage, that is, on the boats. There, you know, that particular slogan just didn't take off. It's all in the negative as far as the Prime Minister is concerned.
And I can hear many of you at home over your sherry shouting, if that's Starmer's definition of bringing those numbers down, you would hate to then see what it would look like if he decided that they were increasing. What else, Chris?
For me, the budget, as ever, huge moment in our political calendar. We were told last year there'd be no more tax increases. Guess what happened? More tax increases, but the budget went over a period of about 4 weeks of spinning, counter-spinning, a breakfast speech by the Chancellor of the Exchequer, Rachel Reeves. And then, of course, the budget was leaked by the OBR, the Office of Budget Responsibility, an hour and a half early, to complete disaster.
Was anyone fired for that?
Richard Hughes left within a few days. He, of course, is the boss of the OBR, the forecaster, but the forecaster carries on. But what's happened, and the main thing our viewers and listeners will know from the budget, is they will be paying more tax by the end of the decade through freezing these tax thresholds, more people drawn into it, nurses and the like. But let's remind ourselves what was said by Rachel Reeves at the budget.
So because I am tackling fraud and error in our welfare system, because I am cracking down on tax avoidance, because I am reforming gambling taxation, I can announce today, fully costed and fully funded, the removal of the 2-child limit in full from
Rachel Reeves embarrassingly announcing a budget which we all knew about an hour and a half before she spoke.
Yeah, I mean, all of that discussion, all of the doom and gloom, I mean, that really impacted the economy.
Yeah, well, we're seeing it now in figures, because, of course, why wouldn't you be all that 4 weeks of uncertainty? We have been spun, it'd be a disastrous budget, we'll run out of money, we'll raise taxes. In fact, no. No need.
You two, Charlie and Cameron, you're a shade younger than me. And you tell me, because one of my memories from 2025 is picking up on what Chris said there, Rachel Reeves crying in the House of Commons. I think that was absolutely pathetic. And I don't know if that's because I'm a little bit old school / getting on a little bit, and I wonder, the younger generation, you're all in touch with your feelings. Did you think she was utterly upset, crying, or am I being harsh, or what?
Well, I felt uncomfortable watching it, Michelle, but it was Kemi's response to the Chancellor crying, which I found really interesting, saying that, you know, I'm a woman, she's a woman, she just needs to get on with it. We're criticising her for being a bad Chancellor of the Exchequer, is what the Conservatives were saying. We're not criticising her for being a woman. She should toughen up and get on with the job, because it's
But then people said that Kemi was being a bully, which I also found pathetic, that accusation against Kemi. I thought Kemi was spot on.
The thing is, you can guarantee if it was the other way around and it was a Conservative Chancellor getting all this criticism, that the Conservatives would be saying the same thing.
Charlie, your thoughts?
Well, I hope they wouldn't. I really hope they wouldn't. If everyone's playing this sort of playground tactics game in politics of making emotional language, we heard the Chancellor talking about mansplaining and complaining about it in the papers. Now, for me, as you say, a younger person, I remember people using that term maybe about 5 or 6 years ago, but it's been derided since, perhaps as being the hyper left-wing emotional language of days gone by. We seem to be moving away from that era, and so to have the most powerful woman in the country saying, oh, men talk down to me like that, well, it just didn't really stick with voters, I don't think.
Well, speaking of Kemi...
Yes, here we go. Our third moment of the year was exactly that. We heard Kemi Badenoch really go after Rachel Reeves in a way which really got under the Chancellor's skin.
Couldn't make this stuff up. Madam Deputy Speaker, I've identified a way to save taxpayers huge amounts of money by sacking just one person, the woman sitting opposite. The ex-chief economist of the Bank of England was not mansplaining. He wasn't mansplaining when he said the uncertainty around today's budget is the single biggest reason growth has flatlined. What did the Chancellor think would happen when she went on breakfast telly to do an emergency public service announcement? I interrupt your Cheerios to bring you this frightening message about income tax. And then, unbelievably, she changed her mind 3 days later. No wonder people are in despair.
Look
I thought that was
wow.
brilliant. I was applauding Kemi.
I agree, it was absolutely fantastic.
Rachel Reeves was very upset by that, and I think she really took it over into the weekend interviews with Laura Kuenssberg when they sat opposite each other, barely speaking. Now, Kemi Badenoch told me privately she has nothing personal about Rachel Reeves. She's making her points, but what I want to illustrate with that clip is the way she has improved her role this year with these big policies: ECHR withdrawal, abolishing stamp duty, Accident and Climate Change Act. We have some actual choices made by the Tories to go against Labour, and also on benefits. The strivers versus shirkers argument that they'll be using increasingly this next year.
And that, of course, has been reflected in the polls because the Tories beating Labour.
Just in the week before Christmas, creeping up just slightly above Labour. And they're still down, by the way, since she became leader. 24 points when she took over, now around 20, down by a fifth or so. So doing well. She staunched the bleeding of the party, but still not very good in terms of beating a reform back.
Well, we've got loads coming up, ladies and gents. We'll be talking crime, we'll be talking royals, we'll be talking grooming gangs. But before that, let's talk festive plans. What are you going to be up to over the Christmas period?
GB News, what else? I'll be here.
Yes,
lots of our colleagues have got children. I don't. I'll be here grafting, so they can be with their
guy
families.
that's trying to get a pay rise. Look, there you go. I found him there right on the end. Don't go anywhere, as I said. Coming up, immigration. Mark White after the break.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dewbs, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power?
Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber.
Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics.
We'll see where this ruling takes us.
These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hello there, welcome back to this special Christmas festive edition of Jubes and Co with me, Michelle Dewberry. Alongside me, a treat for the nation. That's the only way it can be described. Chris Hope, Mark White, Cameron Walker and Charlie Peters. I did try and get all of them to wear Christmas jumpers / Christmas hats. But if you're listening on the radio, take my word for it, none of them were having any of it at all. But I don't mind because you guys are very Christmassy at home. And of course, you've been sending me your Christmas trees in your droves. Let's take a look at this. This is May in Scotland. Oh, I absolutely love this. Absolutely love it. Very novel approach to this. Again, if you're listening on the radio, she's got Donald Trump on the top of her tree. That is absolutely fabulous. Cameron, have you got Donald Trump on the top of your tree at home?
Do you know, I don't, but, you know, next year, Michelle, I might put one on.
I bet you've got a not-so-small Bert on the top of yours, Mark White. Yeah. Is that what goes on? You've got a little dinghy at the top of your Christmas tree?
No, I don't actually have a Christmas tree up because the cats would just have it pulled down. So I can't have a Christmas tree, I'm afraid.
I've got nowhere.
Because of the cats?
Yeah, they jump on it. They love it. It's like the outdoors, indoors.
It's a way to stretch and scratch their claws, isn't it? Absolutely.
Is that a thing? So if you've got a cat, you can't have a Christmas tree?
Right.
That is news to me.
If you ask your viewers to send you cats and Christmas tree pictures, I'm sure they will.
Michelle, at my home, we've got a little flower on the centre of the kitchen table. We put some lights around it just to make it slightly crispy. They massacred the lights, our two cats. You can't do it. They just love it.
Well, my house looks like Santa has come in there, chucked up front and bottom and just spewed everything everywhere. You couldn't get any more festive than my house, but also look at Susie. I love this one as well. She has knitted her very own... This is excellent. She's knitted a partridge in a pear tree. I salute that, Susie. I've got to tell you as well, the art of knitting. It's slowly dying out. Can you knit, Chopper?
I can't knit. No, I can sew a bit, but not knitting.
Can anyone on this panel knit?
I can't.
No.
Although Tom Daly's trying to bring it back, the British diver.
Yes.
Good, I think that's nice. I think that's nice. Right, I'll tell you what, you've got a lot of time for knitting if you're banged up behind bars. Home and Security Editor Mark White, you're across all this stuff. What's caught your eye this year?
Well, of course, I don't want to sort of put a dampener on the programme, but we couldn't really have this show without talking about the horrific events in Australia and, of course, up in Manchester, where Islamist terrorists targeted the Jewish community. Of course, Bondi Beach was the scene of that horrific gun attack with father and son, Naveed and Sajid Akram, who opened fire for 15 minutes before they were eventually brought down, killing 15 innocent people, injuring 40 others. And big soul-searching going on in Australia now about whether these anti-Israel marches, the sort of pro-Palestine marches that have been taking place, have been allowed to sort of operate with impunity, with hateful slogans that have been shouted, such as, you know, bring the global intifada, which many people believe actually is a call to arms internationally, and they say this is the result of that.
Did anybody see, don't tell my boss that I watch and listen to other media channels, did anyone see Jess Phillips talking about the Intifada? And she was calling it the Infatada. did anyone see that?
I did see that.
Did you?
Yeah.
Good. I was looking at you lot with blank faces thinking, am I absolutely dreaming things? But
it's like a South American taco, isn't it?
It was very odd. Anyway, you can watch that another time because we've got other matters to discuss, Mark.
Well, of course, that was, you know, preceded by that horrific attack at the Heaton Park Synagogue to coincide with Yom Kippur up in Manchester, where we saw that car being rammed in to the front of the synagogue. Two innocent worshippers there were killed, one sadly actually by a police firearms officer who was bringing the attacker down at that time. But I think what this highlighted, as Bondi Beach has in a conversation since, is how the Jewish community in particular is the only community in this country, we've heard it again recently, where their children, their worshippers, have to have a degree of guarding security at the synagogues they go to, at the schools and other centres that they visit, and that cannot be right.
Yeah.
Well, it cannot be right, and it's gone on for so many years. We talk about it on this programme often, and many of you do get in touch, and you'll tell me, Michelle, you know, I'm however many years old, and I'm Jewish, and when I used to go to school as well, I used to have to get security assistance. It's absolutely appalling, isn't it? Coming on to a topic that we can fill reams and hours on end talking about this topic, small boats, or not so small boats, as I like to call them.
I think there's only one word, really, that sums up the year for Sir Keir Starmer in terms of trying to reduce the number of boats coming across the channel, and that's disastrous. It really has been. We have the second highest year on record for crossings. Just in recent weeks, the highest December total, with 800 plus crossing the English Channel. It is something that shows no end at all. I know, Chris, you've been talking to the Prime Minister about this on multiple occasions, and OK, we get these incremental announcements of treaties with France and other countries, but they don't seem to have an answer, really.
I mean, the PM was called Never Hear Keir this year because he's travelling. He has to travel now. We need bilateral deals with all these different countries rather than working within the EU to sort it out. So it's challenging for him. But every time we ask him, I mean, the big question now is, will they come down in 2026? Will those bilateral deals start to have any bearing on the numbers? I mean, 41,000 plus in a year is a second highest on record in a calendar year.
Yeah, I mean, I can't see anything that's going to reduce the numbers. They are only moving in one direction, which is ever upward. And they've even been using bigger dinghies this year, the so-called mega dinghy, that can carry about 150 people at a time. If that really becomes the type of dinghy that the people smugglers use more regularly, we're going to see very significant, I mean, we're already seeing significant numbers.
Absolutely appalling. And I can hear you. You've got your sherries in your hands. You'll be screaming at your TV sets. You won't have any faith at all that these numbers are going to reduce. Charlie Peters, you've been out and about on the streets. We've come to you on this programme many times where you've been at the protests. The sense of feeling in communities about this issue, it is rising rapidly, isn't it?
In so many of the towns we've been to affected by the small boats crisis, insofar as people who turn up are put into their local areas, the sense of outrage is growing. I mean, I thought it might have reached the maximum earlier this year when we had that just constant flow of protests. But I think actually I was totally wrong. We're not going to see this slow down whatsoever. So long as people keep coming over, these protests will keep going ahead. And the main frustration that we've heard time and time again is there's no guarantee on who they are, there's no ability to provide that vetting, and it is, of course, an illegal crossing. It completely flies in the face of any sense that Britain has security at its borders.
Ipsos did a prediction of 2026, and one of the things that suggested, Cameron, was that 3/4 of Brits think that there's going to be some kind of, like almost like broken society type protest. And one of the things that when you talk about British values and all the rest of it, politeness is a real key issue in terms of what it means to be British. We're quite polite, we wait our turn in the queue and all the rest of it. Do you think, though, that value of people's politeness, that decorum, that kind of people maintaining that stiff upper lip, do you feel that is kind of waning a little bit? Do you think people are reaching the end of their tether with some of the things in this country? You go to a lot of royal events, so you see the good side of the community, but do you see a change?
Well, earlier this year, there was lots of nostalgia for the end of the Second World War and the Britishness of that and everything about being British. But we were quite good at accepting refugees in the Second World War who were fleeing Nazi persecution. And I think there's clearly a huge difference between that and what we're seeing now with such an unprecedented number of people coming in, but also from different cultures. And I think most people in the UK do have some kind of hospitality in them, and they do have some compassion in them. But when it's such vast numbers and also starting to then overstretch for services that they have in their local communities around the country, that's when they get angry. But I'd love to know, what is the solution? Because excessive government seems to be failing the British population.
Oh, I can hear you at home. You'll be shouting, well, the solution is stop the boats. Many of you will be thinking about getting your waders on and going into the channel and having a crack at that yourselves. I can tell you the sense of feeling that goes on. That was Ipsos and their prediction for 2026. Among others, of course, was 3/4 of Britons expect large-scale public unrest in the year ahead. Well, let's hope not, shall we? I'm certainly hoping for happier times in the year coming up. You can tell me whether or not you share my optimism. Coming up after the break, hey, let's talk about the Royals, shall we? What a year it has been for them.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Whilst high pressure close to the UK brings plenty of dry and bright weather, we do have some heavy rain in central Mediterranean and colder than average weather pushing into parts of Iberia, just 7 degrees there in Lisbon with some showery rain expected later. Showers also moving through eastern parts of Spain, the Balearics, moving into Sardinia, Corsica, Italy, some wet weather and some gusty winds. Mostly fine in Greece and plenty of sunshine to continue into the weekend.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Merry Christmas and welcome to your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. The dry theme is set to continue through the next few days and Boxing Day will be generally pretty bright. There'll be plenty of winter sunshine out there for most of us. It will be still quite windy though in the south, and that's just courtesy of the ice bars here being that bit closer together, so not as windy as on Christmas Day but still a chilly easterly breeze nonetheless. And that easterly breeze continues through this evening across more southern regions of the UK. There will be a bit more in the way of cloud developing as well, and that might just prevent temperatures from falling quite as low as elsewhere. So patchy frost in the south and more widespread frost across more northern and western areas, and temperatures in the rural areas potentially dipping several degrees below freezing. But where winds are lighter across more northern parts of Scotland, we could well see some freezing fog patches redeveloping through the course of the night, particularly through parts of the Highlands, the Moray Firth, for example, so these fog patches could be quite stubborn to clear through Boxing Day. Otherwise, the west coast of Scotland, Northern Ireland, gloriously sunny here, blue skies and not much in the way of cloud at all. Still plenty of sunshine for Northern England, North Wales and the North Midlands as well, but running into more in the way of cloud probably for more southern regions of the UK. And here, there'll still be a fairly brisk easterly wind through the day on Boxing Day, so it will still feel pretty cold out and about. Despite the temperature on the thermometer reading 5 or 6 degrees, it will feel close to freezing. And with the wind still coming in from an easterly direction, it will be those east-facing coasts and some southern regions that will be feeling the kind of the chill the most. So here, still gusts of 30 to 40 miles per hour through the afternoon. Much lighter winds, though, for Scotland and Northern Ireland. The winds subtly shift direction as we go into Saturday, bringing more in the way of cloud, though, probably for many central and eastern parts of the UK. So overall a cloudier day, the best of the sunshine probably for more western parts of Scotland and Northern Ireland. The dry and settle theme, though, is set to continue through the weekend and into next week as well. A mixture of cloud and sunny spells and still the chance of some overnight frost.
Thank you to our global community for watching and listening to GB News. We're not only the #1 news channel in Britain, we're chosen by you around the world.
Good evening, this is the latest AI travel news from GBNews.com. The A83 is experiencing restrictions in both directions at Loughnell Street, Loch Gilphead, due to emergency roadworks. Meanwhile, the A55 Britannia Bridge is facing disruption from high winds, lasting until further notice. In Surrey, there is a collision on the M25 anti-clockwise between Junction 9 and Junction 8, resulting in 2 lanes being closed. Additionally, a road traffic incident has occurred on the A38 eastbound exit slip to the A379 in Devon, causing lane closures. And on the trains, there's no service on Avanti West Coast and Caledonian sleeper routes. Stay up to date at gbnews.com.
Hello there, and of course a very, very Merry Christmas to you. I am Michelle Dewberry. This is Jubes and Co, and the absolute festive treat for the nation, keeping me company. Christopher Hurt, Mark White, Cameron Walker and Charlie Peters. Welcome back to everyone. Are you having a good time?
Oh, great time.
Oh, it's great.
That's all I can
look at them. They've got their fingers crossed underneath the table, I can tell you. Look, you know the drill. Let's have a look, a little bit more of a peek into your living rooms. I love this. Kelly, you've got a Disney-themed tree. What's that? Tinkerbell, I think, is on the top of that. That's nice. You're never too old for Disney, I think. Never too old. Are you a Disney fan, Mark White?
I'm definitely too old for Disney.
No, you're not. Did you notice that he didn't answer the question? My question was, are you a Disney fan? Come on.
No, I can't really say I'm a Disney fan.
Really? Nothing at all? Secret confession?
I sit next to Mark White. He likes snooker and he likes tracking the channel.
Yes.
That is what he's watching on the telly.
And football.
And football.
And golf.
And golf.
And rugby.
And rugby.
I don't believe you. I reckon you've got some Disney repeats going on and on in secret. You just don't want the nation to know about it. Let me have a look at Derek. He's in Nottingham. Let me have a look at your tree, Derek. See, you're a man, Derek, that likes to keep things simple. You're a man that means business. You're a straight talker. You're straight down the line. There's no fuss. There's no frills. I like you, Derek. You are my kind of individual, I can tell you. This is Christmas, ladies and gents, and Christmas is nothing without the royals. Cameron Walker, huge year 2025 for the royal family. Tell us more.
Well, it seems like a lifetime ago now, but way back in January 2025, the Princess of Wales announced to the nation that she was in remission. So we had some royal health news, a good health news, after the horrible year that was 2024. And I think we've seen her steadily return to public duties, but also more confidence and another spring in her step. But what I have noticed is she's putting a lot more emphasis on spending time with family and prioritising her family rather than kind of royal duties, which she's allowed to do, of course. She is the Princess of Wales, but of course she is also future Queen. And she is focusing very much on the issues that she really cares about, such as early childhood development. She's really trying to not lobby politicians, but she's certainly trying to convene politicians and business leaders in the city, getting them around the table, trying to really place an importance on the first 5 years of a child's life, really impacting their life chances. So if you have a really poor start in life, it can really, create big problems with society later down the line and save the economy, money in the long run. But then we had the King as well at the end of the year announcing that he's going to be reducing the schedule of cancer treatment, which to me is optimistic, but it doesn't mean he's out of the woods. It means he's no longer going to be having a weekly cycle of cancer treatment, but it is certainly good because it means that potentially next year he can go on longer international tours, particularly, of course, maybe going to Washington, D.C. and visiting President Trump.
Charlie, are you a fan of the royals?
Well, I mean, I've served the royal family once upon a time. I've sworn an oath of allegiance towards them, and that is for life. So I'm very grateful that we do have a royal system, that we have a monarchy in our country. I look to countries in the Middle East, for example, and invariably it's the ones that are republics that generally are in a worse state than those with monarchies. I do think that while obviously our world is very different to West Asia, the stability that monarchy provides is something that the world over is rather jealous of what we have here, and it's replicated in some parts of the world too.
I can tell you a royal that's not regarded for stability and as a beacon and an icon for others in other countries. Andrew, tell us more.
Yes, well, he has created more of a headache for the royal family, particularly the King. And to be honest, I think a lot of people have been saying that the royal family were a little bit slow off the mark when it comes to dealing with the Andrew problem. So the King, back in October, announced that he's going to officially and formally remove all titles and honours from his brother Andrew, which includes the Prince title, so he's only known as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor now. The Duke of York title has been removed from the rolls of peerage. Technically, he still has it, but he's never going to be referred to it as that again. But it would require an Act of Parliament to officially remove the Duke of York title and, crucially, remove him from the line of succession. He's currently eighth in line of succession, but of course it would have to be some absolute disaster to mean that he's going to be the next king. But unfortunately, because they were so slow to deal with the Andrew problem, papers started probing where he was living, the Royal Lodge owned by the Crown Estate, and they found that he was only paying peppercorn rent. Effectively, he was living there rent-free. And now politicians have started to ask some very serious questions about royal finances and royal rental agreements. And the Public Accounts Committee has said that they are, this is Royal Lodge on your screen now, the 30-room mansion Andrew lives in. But the Public Accounts Committee next year are going to be starting an inquiry as to the kind of rental agreements with other members of the royal family, so not just Prince Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, but other members of the royal family and the kind of agreements they have living in Crown Estate properties.
One of the things that I absolutely love about Christmas is it forces everybody to come together. So many of you right now, you'll be sitting there with your family, your extended family, and there's always one, Mark White, isn't he? There's always one member of your family that brings you trouble, that gets your name, the family name, it drags it through the mud. Anyone like that in your family that you want to oust to the nation?
Probably me.
Oh, are you not? Are you the Andrew of your family?
Oh, that's horrendous to say.
He knows I'm only joking. He knows I like...
I wouldn't say I've gone quite as far as Andrew, but I've had my moments in my time. Well, my family's very well behaved, to be honest.
Oh, shall I move on
can't
before
say
I
the
make you
same.
cry?
Can't say the same of some of the in-laws within.
Let's move on before he gets absolutely ousted from his family. I can tell you someone else that's very controversial, Donald Trump.
Yes, we're all down, weren't we, with GB News and Windsor Castle for that magnificent state visit. You know, you can't... President Trump was never going to refuse an unprecedented second state visit to the UK. Sir Keir Starmer, for all of his faults, played a bit of a diplomatic blinder here when he handed the letter from King Charles to President Trump in the Oval Office, inviting him for this state visit.
It was a bit excruciating, though, wasn't it?
Well, I was there.
Sycophantic is a word that I've seen being
I was there when it happened.
Where were you? Of course.
Of course I was there.
Yeah.
I was there when it actually happened.
And how did you feel? So in the room, out the envelope comes.
It felt like as though like a surprise. We barely started speaking before the letter was out, and it was a letter from the King, and that, of course, got the President right round on side straight away.
And was there groans in the room or what?
No, he looked quite jolly. I mean, he said, "I've got a nice face." When I asked him a question, he said, "He got a nice face."
Oh,
yes,
very nice of him.
It's Christmas, Mark. Why let you do that? Yeah, no, it's a nice face, but asked a difficult question. But yeah, he was all the tension in the room, and there was tension. It was the first visit by a European leader. I think the first visit into the White House, maybe behind the French leader,
Emmanuel
Macron after him. But anyway, it was a big moment, and they were certainly nervous about how it might play out.
Chopper, is it true that the envelope production moment almost didn't happen because the White House security wouldn't let them take it through without being scanned and checked?
That is the rumour, because everything is checked, even down to the water on his podiums at press conferences. It's water and covered with a civil service seal. Everything is checked. Everything around Donald Trump is checked and double-checked, triple-checked. So a letter which they don't know about, Charlie, almost certainly would have been.
But they were so security conscious.
It'd be brilliant if they pounced on it.
People in England would be like, go on.
But it was the theatrical nature, because he was the emissary of our head of state.
Yeah.
Dipping your hat, it looks like picking up a pistol.
Yeah. Well, it does.
You do that in the US and you usually get shot. You've got to be pretty cautious out there.
Hopefully you don't trust Prime Minister. But of course, it was so security conscious because everything happened behind castle walls. Most presidents and heads of state get a whole carriage ride through the streets of Windsor with cheering crowds, and they didn't. It was all done within the guarded armed police perimeter of Windsor Castle, which I think said it all. But Trump appeared to have a very good time.
And they were projecting, if my memory serves me correctly, Epstein and things like that on the gardens of Windsor Castle.
They were on one of the towers, and I think a couple of people were arrested for that. And there was a big protest, of course, in central London as well. And Bev Turner came across with the press corps, our colleague here, and we were both in the chapel, Windsor Castle Chapel, when President Trump was visiting. And he didn't seem fazed by all of these protests. But also, he didn't seem very interested in what was going on in the chapel either. What he was interested in was us, the media, and he kept looking over at us, making sure that we were watching him. It was really interesting.
Do you think, does the King like Trump? Because Trump always attacks the things the King likes, like the windmills off the coast of Scotland. They're getting away with the view from his golf courses and the like. Are they good pals, or is it his duty making that work?
Well, President Trump calls King Charles his friend, his good friend, and I think, the King is the absolute art of soft power here. So I think he's never going to have any opinion on a president's view.
You're so diplomatic.
So good, isn't he?
He is, isn't he? He's the polite one on the table.
That defensive shot against Christopher Hope.
Look, coming up after the break, Charlie Peters will talk us through the stories that he has been following closely. I'll see you in a sec. I'm Michelle Dewberry. This is Jubes and Co with you.
Hello, everyone. Patrick Christie is here. GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel. At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There, you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/your say, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray. Are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines. The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it? From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos. What I'm going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak. Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
This Christmas, we're inviting you to join the GB News family for an occasion filled with joy. A chance to come together and lift our voices and celebrate what truly brings us closer at this time of year. So whether you're with friends or family or simply in the spirits of the season, we would love to share this special night of carols with you. Carols by candlelight at 7 o'clock tonight, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Hello there, welcome back to this special edition of Jubes and Co with me, Michelle Dewberry, and the finest men in the nation, Christopher Hurt, Mark White, Cameron Walker and Charlie Peters remain alongside me. I'm desperately attempting to insult them as much as I can to see if I can get any of them to leave, but they're all still standing. I like it. I've got to tell you, just before the break, we were talking about the Donald Trump state visit. I was itching to say my favourite bit, and Charlie Peters literally read my mind in the break. What were you saying, Charlie?
I was talking about the excellent moment when Martin Daubney gave a set of
salute.
Military salutes.
To the beast. Did you see that? Did you see it, ladies and gentlemen? I've got to tell you, he did come in for a little bit of stick about that, but not on my watch. I will defend him to the hilt. I thought it was absolutely fabulous.
The only thing was they were all empty.
Yes, no one was in it.
Don't ruin his moment. He didn't look at it. What did I say to you earlier on? Around your dinner tables right now and in your living rooms, these are the dynamics that go on. There's always one that's a bit naughty, and I'll give him a kick for you, Martin, if you watch it.
I definitely got closer to the beast, though, because I got to pose with the photograph with it. Secret Service were very kind. And
you do a lovely salute as well, Cameron.
Were you saluting alongside
I wasn't
it?
saluting. I was kind of, not quite stroking it, but, you know, just kind of...
leaning over it. Anyway, look, let me come back into your living rooms. I do love a good nosy. This is Phil. He is in South Wales. He's been growing this tree in his garden since 1958. Wow. And get this, ladies and gents, it's gone now 50 feet in height. I've got to tell you, Phil, that actually looks better than the one in Trafalgar Square. I don't know if you've seen that one that we get donated. I've seen it close up and personal. It's not actually that impressive. And anyway, look, Andrew, he's not decorated his tree. Oh, I like this. If you're listening on the radio, Andrew's not messing around. He's not decorated his tree, but he's decorated his dog instead. Charlie, there is one story that you have been following very closely all year round. In fact, didn't you win an award?
Yeah.
Yes, you see? Well done. Tell us more.
I won a Trick Award, which was a huge honour, News Presenter of the Year. And I think that's because we weren't just following this story closely. I think we led the agenda on this story, as we have for a number of years. That is the grooming gang scandal. And it's good that we're doing a year in review because this story actually really started on the 1st of January. I was on my holiday break. I worked last Christmas. I took some time off over New Year. But as I was starting to unwind, Elon Musk the world's richest man, started gearing up, having learnt a bit about this crisis, having looked at a couple of the transcripts around this scandal, and he started tweeting incessantly on his platform X about it. And so I immediately stopped my holiday, and on the 1st of January shared a story I'd been waiting to broadcast for quite a while, actually, for a few weeks, and it was that the government had rejected a request from Oldham Council for a grooming gangs inquiry, and that story set off the atmosphere like wildfire, because it was all well and good Elon Musk talking about stuff that happened 15, 20 years ago. GB News brought it back into the here and now. That set off Reeves and Badenoch, all the opposition MPs, then were demanding out of Keir Starmer a public inquiry. And while we went back on the road as the whole world, and really the nation in particular, focused on this issue again, so Keir Starmer hosted a press conference at a hospital in Surrey. Our very own Christopher Hope was there, and he said this really quite extraordinary line, that people were jumping on a bandwagon. But what sort of bandwagon? Let's listen to what he said.
And when politicians, and I mean politicians, who sat in government for many years, are casual about honesty, decency, truth and the rule of law, calling for inquiries because they want to jump on a bandwagon of the far right.
Far-right bandwagon. I was in Tameside that day. We went back out on the road, going to speak to all the old contacts we'd gathered working on the grooming gangs for a few years. We made a documentary on this in 2022 for the channel, and speaking to them in Greater Manchester, when Keir Starmer said, sparked by a far-right bandwagon, the reaction I received was like nothing else. And we got back on the road to speak to those people, and we realised we had a challenge now to prove to Keir Starmer that it wasn't a far-right bandwagon. These were legitimate and serious concerns shared by most of the country, actually, and the polling on it was really stark. And so we went back to Oldham, where that inquiry had been rejected, and we revealed another case, a grooming gang that hadn't been revealed before.
And you'd be just hoping that this time will be the time I catch her in the act. You know, somebody talking to her, somebody trying to coerce her into the car, or anything.
He drove us around Oldham, taking us to the places where his daughter was abused, where she was trafficked, and it was an extraordinary experience, him revealing all these places that the police must have known about when this abuse was going on, but they just did not sufficiently take the action that was required. And we did that, Chris. I mean, you said to me in January, you know, the challenge was given to me and the channel was to prove to the country and to prove to the Prime Minister that he needed to take a look at this and launch that inquiry.
Well, what we're trying to... Well, the idea was a dossier of the evidence you had found, anecdotally, to show him the scale, national scale. He wanted to see proof of it and asked for it. And afterwards, I saw one of his aides, and he accused me of scraping the barrel. Well, I should be ashamed of myself for asking that question in an NHS setting. And he used the word far right, and I felt that was a personal attack on our viewers. And listeners, anyone concerned can't be far right.
And the victims and their families.
Well, the victims. I mean, it's appalling. So, really building on your work, we try to support your work, Charlie, on this and bring it to the attention of politicians.
I think it was just so tone-deaf, though, what we were hearing from not just the Prime Minister, but other ministers throughout this year. They constantly seemed as well to be on the back foot. They were never at any point leading. They seemed to be dragged into every decision that they eventually made. And that is really a bad look, I think.
Well, this is, just to say, Charlie, at home, that point that you make about the far right, I mean, we all speak to viewers on a daily basis on this channel, and it continuously comes up, this far-right bandwagon notion. People have not forgotten that. I think people will never forget that. And actually, the people that Keir Starmer described in that way, you know, by definition, they were actually, you know, almost like bread and butter, traditionally Labour voters, and I think many of them won't forgive him for that.
And many of them came out of the woodwork because of that comment, and they came to the channel that was really championing this issue and those survivors, which was GB News, and so many new whistleblowers came forward. We spoke to a former detective in Greater Manchester who revealed that he was shut down by police officers in West Yorkshire when he started working, and revealed an abuse network in Bradford there. there. And we also started to compile some of that evidence. We worked with some researchers called Crime Spotlight, and we gathered for the first time our own audit. While Baroness Casey was working on it, we did our own, and we found trafficking routes that I hope we can show you now right across the country, showing the links between these gangs. There it is now. While a lot of work had been done on the grooming gangs before GB News came on the scene, our work was to show people that this was not a case of isolated gangs in a few northern towns and cities or the West Midlands, such as Telford, but actually this is an organised national network linked by clannishness, linked by culture, and also Class A drugs and guns. These are organised criminal gangs, Michelle. And when we had those findings, we also could show where grooming gangs had operated around the country. The case, I think we made the case for a public inquiry at GB News, and we were very grateful that in June, Baroness Casey backed up our findings, and Chris Hope was on a flight to Canada with the PM when he said, do you know what, I've heard her recommendation, we're going to launch an inquiry. I was luckily working that Saturday here, and we got to break the news to the country that a public inquiry on the grooming gangs was coming. I mean,
It was a surprise when he said it. We didn't think it. We normally go through all the areas you might ask about. We asked about grooming gangs, small boats and so forth. But for him to announce that on that flight over, extraordinary.
Do you know what? I've just got to tell you, because we're almost out of time, recapping the year gone by, it flies by, literally, doesn't it? And I just want to say thank you again, Charlie, Mark, everyone, for your work on that topic. I know it really does mean an awful lot to many of you watching at home, and we won't be going anywhere on that story. Worry not. I've literally got a minute, so it would be really rude for me not to put you all on the spot and ask you all, what's your New Year's resolution?
Oh. Really half for our viewers and listeners. Oh yeah, I just bring in more scoops and exclusives for our viewers.
Retire as soon as possible and go off to a bar abroad.
Oh, I like it. I'll go with him.
Not to have royal announcements on a Friday night, so I can actually enjoy my weekend.
Yes, I like that.
I'm having fun and being Mark White's apprentice, but I want his job.
Oh! Fighting talk. One of the finest moments of Mark White's job
was when I was doing a little cross with Martin Daubney on migration, and one of my wee critters decided to get in on the action.
Mark White, I can hear some meowing in the background. Is that your cat or is that you? I mean, I feel like I might start meowing myself. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Like, you know, that's where we're at.
That's the home and security cat.
I have more common sense than
the home and security cat. Well,
if I'm you, Mark.
Oh, I love it. So that's the reason you can't have a Christmas tree.
Exactly. He loves Christmas trees.
What is that cat's name? I mean,
that's Leo. But, you know, it wasn't him. It was my other cat called Oscar, who's the noisy one. But he scarpered, and poor little Leo's a bit plumper, and he was just lying down at my feet. So I just grabbed him up and showed him to the world and blamed him for the noise.
Did you say one's the home cat, one's the security cat? Did we not agree that Leo was in the security realm?
Oh, I think Leo's definitely the home cat. He's
There
not
we
good
go.
at security.
Well, there you go. We're going to let him get back to his pussies. For now, that did not sound right. To his cats. Guys, I just want to say what a pleasure to work with you all. It really, really is. And what an absolute pleasure to have the privilege of your company each and every single day from each and every single one of us here at GB News. We wish you the happiest, merriest Christmas, and we wish you the very, very best for 2026. And we shall see you then. Night.
A really important thing about GB News, and it's brought something completely different to the landscape.
The mainstream is all about keeping the status quo as it is, ticking along quite nicely. They don't want to ask difficult questions.
GB News exists because there is a desperate need for fearless journalism that puts the people first.
GB News came on the scene as a disruptor, and it has always been a disruptor ever since.
Journalism in this country has been a cosy world full of groupthink until now.
Well, the reality is that most British journalists are afraid. That's not GB News.
Journalism is journalism at the end of the day, and we're not here to serve any masters. Our masters are our audience.
We're here to talk about things in a way that have never been broadcast on British airways before.
Do not miss a moment on GB News.
The #1 news channel in the country.
Thank you, Britain, for helping us reach 10 million followers across social media. We are truly honoured to have your trust, one follower at a time.
Good evening. This is the latest AI travel news from GBNews.com. The A83 is restricted at Loughnell Street, Loch Gilphead, due to emergency roadworks. High winds affect the A55 Britannia Bridge until further notice. In Gateshead, on the A1 northbound, a broken-down vehicle causes delays, with one lane closed. In Hertfordshire, the M25 clockwise is impacted by a broken-down vehicle, causing one lane closure. A collision on the A38 eastbound exit slip to the A379 in Devon has led to lane closures. And on the trains, Avanti West Coast and Caledonian sleeper services are suspended. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
This Christmas, we're giving you the chance to win our biggest cash prize of the year.
An incredible £85,000 in tax-free cash could be yours.
And we've come to the fabulously festive Aurora Collection Resort here in Lapland to celebrate. £85,000 of tax-free cash really could be yours.
For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates,
5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me. You got me good there.
Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah.
Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace
Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Once in royal David's